Hello and welcome to Bookworms. It's the show where we read books and talk about those books. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Joe.
And boy, Joe, are you in for a treat this week? Or this month, I guess.
Yeah, you're a little off, aren't you, Alex?
Am I, though?
Yes.
Okay. This is we alternate books. We're getting towards the end of season 2 here.
This is Alex's last pick.
Yep. And our seasons last a year and a half, believe it or not. So we're coming up on 3 years of podcasting, according to that logic.
Yeah, I don't think it's not quite a year and a half because 16 months.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, not quite a year and a half, but you get the idea. We're coming up on 3 years of podcasting. Can you believe it?
I can believe it, Alex. It is quite impressive.
I know. Who would have thunk we'd stick it out like this?
I think we've done more episodes than the average podcast life, and we've lasted, I think, 2 years longer now. So,
Yeah.
Go us.
Yeah, I think what's the average amount of like podcast episodes? Do you
Less
think?
than 20.
Less than 20, and yeah, probably less than like a few weeks or months.
Yeah, we've also crossed over 2,000 total downloads. And if we are really good, we'll surpass last year's numbers without needing the bots to do all the background stuff that we got like 200 downloads in 1 month for no apparent reason.
Hey. Those bots work hard, all right?
I'm just saying, hey, we can do it with real actual people, beat last year's numbers. If you guys please share with all your friends and let them know that they need to download this so we can get past I think it's either 800 and 900 listens in a year. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. We just reposted our best selling episode, I guess most downloaded episode. Yeah.
Our best selling free episode.
Yeah. Get what you pay for, folks. Was it the Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian? We reposted that as a bonus episode because that's our most successful episode.
Yeah, it was just under 120 downloads at the time of re-recording. I don't think it's actually changed. And since rebroadcasting, that got another 10 downloads. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff.
Oh, yeah. Impressive that we are still sticking it out. No.
Yeah, for all our one listener.
Yeah, who downloads it 120 times. No, we appreciate all our listeners. We do this if we were getting 0 downloads, honestly, because the only person I want to hear is your voice, Joe.
So you know how I told you, we try to read all the comments? The other couple weeks ago, say, hey, I haven't looked at our YouTube channel or see how that's doing. So I started getting to the analytics of that, and I found out we had 1 comment on an episode.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Can you guess what episode it is, Alex?
Is it Part-Time Indian?
Nope.
Is it Monster Calls?
No.
Is it Picture of Dorian Gray? It can't be because that's this episode.
Yeah, that's this episode. So no, it is it American Dream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
They were very disappointed in our analysis. They thought that they were hoping for some actual positive critique on it, and we're just he called us a couple of characters, and then proceeded to say, "There's no wonders this only has like 5 listens on it."
What do you mean, couple of characters?
So we're characters here. So.
Oh yeah.
So I had a good chuckle at that comment, and I'm sorry that we did not enjoy it as much as this individual apparently did.
I remember loving it when I was in college. It's just I reread it and it's just like it wasn't for me. So I don't know what to tell that guy.
I thought we gave it a fair shot at it. So yeah.
And I think our critiques were fair enough to it. I mean, those were common critiques that book gets from what I've done research on. So
yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a product of its time, and times have changed. So, but let's get on to the book we're actually on, because we're already almost 5 minutes into this, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Granted that we had about 30 seconds of dead air there, but
yeah. If you want to send us negative comments, please do. We'll comment on all of them.
We're not going to comment back, but we will read them.
Yeah, we'll
and
read them.
Enjoy them thoroughly if you're clever enough.
We are going to critique your critiques of us, and because we're a couple of characters.
Especially you, Alex. Especially you.
I know,
so,
right?
This month's book pick, Alex. You had the last pick of your 8 books from this season. What was it?
It is my all-time favorite book. So I know that kind of skews what I'm going to say about the book, but it is one of the, I guess, kind of original, probably one of the most original monster books ever written, because the monster is simply a man. It is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, this is not the oldest book we've read, but one of the oldest books we've read.
Yeah,
I think I still have that title for oldest book.
Yeah, with
Thank
the
you very
tame.
much.
Yeah. I think this is the only Victorian era book that we've picked.
Yeah, well, we don't usually get out of the 20th century.
Yeah, we've bounced all around. We've gone back to the 60s a couple times now. The Wanting Seed was from the 60s. I feel like we've kind of hit a few areas.
60s, 70s, 80s we cover pretty hard. 90s, aughts a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then most of the modern books we just kind of trash on.
Yeah. Gosh. I'm surprised we didn't get any pushback for Some Desperate Glory, because we shit all over that book.
Yeah. I did watch a YouTube video about why modern writing sucks. And I forget the name of the title. It was this redhead talking about it, and she's a little pretentious, but I had to agree with pretty much everything she said, that why modern writing sucks. Basically, people don't learn how to properly make sentences in school because they don't learn how to read correctly.
Just like the amount of
hooked on phonics people.
Yeah, the amount of having to explain what you're writing about to your audience. It's like, are you writing to the world's stupidest people? Because that's what it feels
Alex,
like.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's like you're just trying to cater to the lowest common denominator and not challenging them to think at all because you're spelling it all out for them.
Well, it's just the whole flow of sentences. It's very choppy now, where you read something from the 60s and we're praising how well it maybe is not lyrical. You get some books that are very poetic or lyrical in their cadence, and when you read them, but even books that don't have that have a certain flow to them. So where now everything's just choppy and much. Well, who was it that you always talk about, author you like, that does short sentences?
Like Hemingway?
Yeah, Hemingway. It's like they're trying that but failing.
Yeah. All right. That's a comment for a positive comment about Norman Mailer. American Dream does have some very poetic and lyrical writing. I'll give him that.
Oh yeah, all the books we've read, other than the bad books we've read, have had some sort of good style of prose. And if you want some good style of prose, this book right here has it in spades.
Yes, this is Oscar Wilde is well renowned for just his way with words, his very whimsical writing style, and it's on full display here in the only novel he ever wrote, because he was a poet. He wrote short stories, he wrote children's books. He was most well known for being a playwright, though.
Do you see? You got the link I sent you about my favorite actor?
Yes, Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry, yeah.
Playing Lady Bracknell.
Yes. I gotta imagine that's gotta be just total on mint par, whatever, for excellence.
Yeah, when I was in college, I saw The Importance of Being Earnest. They put on a production of it, and all the men were played by women, and all the women were played by men, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Just especially the men playing the women, they just went all out, and they were super into it, and it was so funny the entire time. And whoever they had playing Lady Bracknell for that production was just absolutely crushed it. So I can picture Stephen Fry going to town on that role because it's such a great role to play. But yeah. Oscar Wilde had a very kind of, short window of fame before it all kind of crumbled around him. So I think that's just some background. Kind of another reason I liked Monster Calls is because they had an interesting backstory. And Oscar Wilde had an interesting backstory. He's kind of like one of those authors who's more famous than anything he ever wrote. And you see that with his writing. It's just this is really good writing, but also just the history behind it, and how it got written and what happened to the author in a short period of time, because he was famous for 3 years, and then he went to jail, and then he died penniless and
in exile.
For being gay, and like that's that's a huge moment in LGBT history. Like he's like one of the original spokespersons of being openly homosexual, and he paid a huge price for it. And that's a lot of the reasons this book was so scandalous is because like he kind of pushed those aspects of life into the forefront. And I don't know, that's just one aspect of the book. Well, hopefully we can do a little deep dive into it, or I don't know. I think we kind of suffer sometimes because we only cover one book per episode. If we kind of broke it into segments, we'd be able to dive into even deeper. But this will just be what we can
this is the
cover
kind of book,
in an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah, this is the kind of book where people get masters and PhDs on, trying to analyze it. So our little podcast is barely going to scratch the surface of the potential of this book.
Yeah, there's this book is probably one of the most analyzed books of all time. Like it's really never been out of print. It's
up there with a Silmarillion.
Yes, up there with a Silmarillion. Just insanely easier to read. As far as Victorian era books go, this is probably one of the more accessible ones to the commoner, like the people that aren't gung-ho readers.
I mean, yeah, it's using big words, but in ways that even if you don't want to look them up, you can get a pretty good idea of what he is saying.
Yeah, it's very, very down to earth, very simple writing style. You're not trying to like force your way through Faulkner or Dickens here. It's he had a much simpler writing style, and it definitely makes it a much more enjoyable read. The humor, even 120 years later, is still on point, and the darker aspects of it too just still ring true for just kind of the nature of the human condition and man's folly and the nature of vanity and art, and kind of ignoring the more important aspects of life.
Yeah. So Alex, I have on my notes 3 stars next to this note, meaning that you need to read something. I want you to read the whole preface of the book.
The whole preface of the book?
Yeah.
All right. I do not have my copy of my book with me, so please hand it to me. It's the look at all of the tabs that you have. Geez, what the fuck? It's like 200-page book, and you got like 80 tabs.
And I could have tabbed probably every page 3 times, and I had to hold back. So just so I could actually finish the book.
Basically, everything Lord Henry says is instantly quotable. So I feel that way. All right. Should I read the back of the book too?
Yeah. Start with the back of the book, and then go to the preface.
All right.
Because the preface I feel is really important. Sets up the whole novel and just the whole way of thinking.
All right. The Picture of Dorian Gray is a gothic and philosophical novel by Oscar Wilde, first published complete in the July 1890 issue of Lippincott's Monthly Magazine. Fearing the story was indecent prior to publication, the magazine's editor deleted roughly 500 words without Wilde's knowledge. Despite that censorship, The Picture of Dorian Gray offended the moral sensibilities of British book reviewers, some of whom said that Oscar Wilde merited prosecution for violating the laws guarding public morality. In response, Wilde aggressively defended his novel and art in correspondence with the British press, although he personally made excisions of some of the most controversial material when revising and lengthening the story for book publication the following year. So that preface that description in the back gives no hint to what this book's about, but that's all right. We're going to tell you what this book's about. But I'm going to read the preface. This is about 1 page, so bear with me. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. To reveal art and conceal the artist is art's aim. The critic is he who can translate into another manner or a new material his impression of beautiful things. The highest as the lowest form of criticism is a mode of autobiography. Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are the cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect, to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. That is all. The 19th century dislike of realism is the rage of Caliban seeing his own face in a glass. There's a Tempest reference for you. The 19th century dislike of romanticism is the rage of Caliban not seeing his own face in the glass. The moral life of man forms part of the subject matter of the artist, but the morality of art consists in the perfect use of an imperfect medium. No artist desires to prove anything. Even things that are true can be proved. No artist has ethical sympathies. An ethical sympathy in an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style. No artist is ever morbid. The artist can express everything. Thought and language are to the artist instruments of an art. Vice and virtue are to the artist materials for an art. From the point of view of form, the type of all the arts is the art of the musician. From the point of view of feeling, the actor's craft is the type. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so at their peril. Those who read the symbol do so at their peril. It is the spectator, and not life, that art really mirrors. Diversity of opinion about a work of art shows that the work is new, complex, and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself. We can forgive a man for making a useful thing as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless. Which is probably one of his most famous lines, saying all art is quite useless. So that's the preface. I don't know if he wrote that in the serialized version or if that was a response to the critics, but it's a very concise there.
Yeah, it kind of sets up the whole subtext of the novel, I guess, and just because there is a lot of talk about art and the purpose of art and people's feelings on art in the novel, because basically it's a novel about hedonism.
Yeah, essentially that's I don't know, there's such much ado over a painting, and it just completely changes the life of one man and ruins the life of basically everyone he comes into contact with,
except for Lord Henry, which I always kind of wonder, is he like the devil that's just kind of whispering in Dorian's ear, or is he supposed to be an actual like character?
If I remember correctly, Oscar Wilde, like a lot of the characters in his books are based on people he knew in real life. I think that's true for most writers, but yeah, he's definitely some sort of like corrupting influence on Dorian throughout the book.
I said he's a corrupting influence, but he never gets corrupted, even though he's kind of guiding Dorian in that corruption, even though he's not necessarily a part of the corruption.
Yeah, he's the only one who seems immune to Dorian's hedonism, and he in fact encourages it, and it seems almost amused by it.
But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, so let's...
Yes, the book does open, though, with Sir Henry watching Basil paint a picture of a beautiful young man.
Basically, the artist, Basil, doesn't want Lord Henry to meet this young man, who we find out is Dorian, because Basil realizes that Lord Henry likes to ruin everything, and this artist has come to worshiping his subject, and he is working on his greatest piece ever, which is a portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yes, the title character, Dorian Gray, is getting a title portrait made of him. Yeah, so Lord Henry, he's quickly established as this witty guy who'll say just basically anything. He'll sacrifice any sort of decency or what do you call it when you're like trying to be genuine? It's like any genuine humanity for the sake of being witty or contradictory.
I'll read a quick quote here. Give Alex a break after those long reads that he just did. To kind of, this is right in the beginning where we're meeting Lord Henry and Basil, and they're talking about Dorian, and I guess this is a quote from the artist. You don't understand me, Harry, answered the artist. Of course I am not like him. I know that perfectly well. Indeed, I should be sorry to look like him. You shrug your shoulders. I am telling you the truth. There is a fatality about all physical and intellectual distinction, the sort of fatality that seems to dog through history the faltering steps of kings. It is better not to be different from one's fellows. The ugly and the stupid have the best of it in this world. They can sit at their ease and gape at the play. If they know nothing of the victory, they are at least spared the knowledge of defeat. They live as we all should live, undisturbed, indifferent, and without disquiet. They neither bring ruin upon others nor ever receive it from alien hands. Your rank and wealth, Harry, my brains, such as they are, my art, whatever it may be worth, Dorian Gray's good looks, we shall all suffer for what the gods have given us, suffer terribly. So that's the kind of dialogue that we're getting here. And basically, yeah, Harry, or Lord Henry, who's also referred to as Harry, is just a witty asshole.
Yeah, essentially. I remember reading it for the first time and just like laughing at literally everything he says. It was great. But yeah, he's
kind of based off of Oscar Wilde himself, who was a very witty person at parties and at gatherings, who could just spin a sarcastic or witty comment to get everyone to laugh. And a lot of these artists back then and lords with a little better to do, that was kind of their thing. It was, you were considered a bore if you couldn't entertain people, and the wittier you were, the more likely you go to the parties and be invited to all the swanky things in life. But basically, yeah, we meet Dorian Gray, and he is this, was it like 16-year-old or 17-year-old?
I think he's an adult. He's like 18.
No, because 20. He hasn't come into maturity yet to his estate.
Okay, he might have been in his teens then.
Yeah, so he was late teens, and basically he is your classic, just beautiful young man that everyone adores. And basically, Basil and Lord Henry say, don't lose your good looks, because once you lose those, you'll be nothing. And Dorian Gray is like, haha, whatever, guys. Then he sees his portrait of himself and kind of like a narcissist, realizes, oh, I really am the most beautiful being on earth, and my God, what's going to happen when I start aging and I lose this? And
yeah, he sees like Basil's like really proud of the painting that he makes of Dorian, and then he shows it to Dorian, and Dorian like melts down over it, because it's like the painting is always going to look like that, but he's going to age and he's going to lose that youthful beauty, and he makes a wish.
Yeah, wishes that the painting would age, but not him.
Yeah, seemingly innocuous, and we find out later on that that's going to be a life-changing moment.
And we find out that Basil, he kind of also has a kind of wish fulfillment of putting so much of himself into the painting that he's basically put his own, in a sense, his own soul into it to make it come to life. Even though it is Dorian's soul, quote unquote, that it's locked in there from this wish, all that passion that Basil had is what gives that the energy, so to speak. None of this is outright said. It's all.
Yeah, it's very clear that Basil is in love with Dorian, though.
Yes.
Like it's 100% an unrequited love.
Yeah, and it is not returned.
Yeah, but Dorian does take an instant liking to Lord Henry, and that does seem to be much more of a scandalous thing going on there, because there's some very much some sexual tension between those two.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of sexual tension throughout this whole book. It is never explicitly said that they're sleeping with each other or anyone else, other than innuendo and strong hinting at the best of times. And most of the innuendo and strong hinting is done with heterosexual relationships.
Yeah, especially once we like get deeper into the book and we find out like how many men he's ruined through scandal. Like it's like, what is that? What did he do to ruin them, do you think? And it's sort of like, kind of gets into that realm of stuff.
Yeah, basically, it's your imagination of, what is the worst thing you could do to a person to make it so that they will never want to see you again and avoid you and walk out of a room when you walk in. And it's like, oh, these are some of the most powerful people in England, and there's only so much you can do to get that kind of reaction from them.
Yeah, and so there's some tension where Dorian doesn't want Basil to show the painting to anyone, so he takes it and he insists on keeping it, and Basil eventually relents, and Dorian kind of locks it away, and goes about his life.
He doesn't lock it away, so he puts it in his study, but he hides it behind a curtain.
Yeah,
and he will basically obsess over this painting when no one else is around, but he refuses to let anyone see it, and he's just studying every square inch of it. And then Lord Henry ends up, we move on by a few weeks or whatever, and Lord Henry and Dorian are hitting it off and going to all the swankiest parties and just having a grand old ball. Well, Lord Henry gives Dorian a book. I forget what the title of the book is, if they even tell us.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But Dorian starts reading it, and it is all about hedonism and basically how to just enjoy life and everything and not actually care. And he takes a hook, line, and sinker. And he names out specific chapters where he just is obsessed with reading and rereading and rereading over and over and over again, and saying, I want to live this life that this book is describing. And he goes down that rabbit hole where he spends fortunes doing all these crazy things. And a lot of it is just appreciation of the arts. He's spending stupid money to go travel the world and look at all the most fantastical things, all the quote-unquote savage artistry and cultures, and all the greatest paintings of Italy and France, and all the great plays and musicals, and just...
Yeah, he's kind of going back to the preface with all art is quite useless. He's essentially obsessing over useless things, just sensory experiences. And part of that includes going to a just kind of rundown theater company to watch, I think it was Romeo and Juliet, and he falls in love with the lead actress, who's like the only talented person on the stage.
Yeah,
one Sybil Vane.
Yeah, he just kind of wandered by this theater, and a very derogatory description of the manager who's Jewish, kind of pulling him in and putting him in the box, and he falls in love with Sybil Vane.
Yeah, Sybil Vane, who's a very talented actress, and we kind of he starts going to it's like a Shakespeare company, so there's 2 Shakespeare plays, and he goes and he sees her play Ophelia, he sees her play Juliet, he sees her play I don't know, other women. And
basically a lot of the they do all the Shakespearean plays, and that's about it. He doesn't veer off that. But yeah, he
falls in love with her and actually proposes to her before she even knows his name, and she's the 16-year-old girl, and she gets caught up in it that she accepts his marriage proposal.
And granted, he's still 18 at this time, maybe 20, so age-wise it's not huge, but you quickly learn that he doesn't love her, he loves her acting.
Yeah. And
Sybil, and she refers to him as Prince Charming.
Yeah, Sybil. We had a chapter that's just devoted to Sybil. She's talking to her mom, talking to her brother James, who comes in later in the book. James is about to go off with the Navy, and the mom's kind of cautious about Sybil getting married, but also they're a poor family, and he's a wealthy young man, so it's good for them.
They're basically indentured to that theater because she was so in debt, and the manager was willing to pay for the talent and said, hey, I own you for 2-3 years, you do all these plays, then you're free to go where you want. But Sybil is nervous because those are her most valuable years, because she is young and beautiful, and she's like, hey, this is a chance to escape. This wealthy individual will buy my ticket to freedom. And she falls madly in love with Dorian.
Yeah, and then Dorian goes to watch her act again, and
with his friends for the first time. So he brings Basil and Harry along to say, "You got to see this girl. I'm engaged to her. I asked her to marry me yesterday. she's the most amazing actress you'll ever see. She deserves to be in the greatest theaters of the world.
Yeah, and she gives an intentionally bad performance.
And her reasoning is because she now knows what true love is, and therefore she can't act it out.
Yep. And like she tries to explain all this to Dorian, and he dumps her.
Yeah, it says, I loved you for your acting. If you can't act, then I can't love you. And she ends up killing herself over this heartbreak that night.
Dorian, he feels guilty for doing that to her. He writes her a nice letter, but then he finds out, she's killed herself.
And all this leads up to, he looks at, that.
Yeah, he deduces pretty quick what's going on also.
Yeah, he looks at the painting and sees the painting has got all of a sudden sneering and has some lines around the mouth.
Yeah, there's a look of cruelty about it.
Yeah, and he's
kind of rationalized away his cruelty towards Sybil, but the painting is still looking like it's evil, like it's got that mark of somebody who's done something awful.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Lord Henry is big on is the
rationalizing cruelty.
Yeah, or no, just rationalizing everything. What is it called when basically like when computers overanalyze things and end up saying that if we kill all humans, no humans can get murdered. It's kind of like
a Terminator situation.
Yeah, it's kind of like that kind of rationality where if you take it too far, it becomes absurd.
Yeah.
But that's what Lord Henry wants to, that's kind of what his philosophy, and he's brought Dorian along, and Dorian is trying to use that rationality, saying, and what it turns into is saying, well, I didn't kill her. She killed herself. How was I supposed to know that dumping this 16-year-old girl was going to cause such trauma? That's not my fault.
It's never his fault. It's always other people's. Like even though he might be the direct cause or the
he's not the one that pulled the trigger. He just put them in that situation, and they followed him blindly and then suffered the consequences.
Yeah, is it so bad that he got bored with her or fell out of love with her? He kind of quickly realizes that the wish he made about the portrait aging and not him has come true, and he just does a deep dive into it. He starts getting really into the arts. He goes into music. He gets into
early on too. Basil comes to visit, saying, "Hey, I want to send this portrait out to whatever art show in Europe, and this is my masterpiece." Basically, Dorian gets paranoid that people are going to realize I'm actually ugly underneath. I got to hide this. So he convinces Basil to never see the painting again, never show it to anybody. And he hires a crew to bring it up to the attic.
Yeah, and he heavily fortifies it so that no one else can go in there except for him.
Yeah, and so, like I said, he starts traveling the world in earnest now and just living the life of a luxurious playboy.
Yeah, there's a really long chapter. It's like really the only long chapter in the book where it just covers 18 years of history where he's he's obsessing over jewelry one year, then he's really into music the next, and he's obsessing over art and learning all about the artists, and he's enjoying all these sensual pleasures, and meanwhile he's just creating controversy after controversy, and he's kind of his exploration of the self is at the cost of everyone around him. So he's and all the while he's obsessing over the portrait because every time he does something cruel or malicious or something that will destroy the body of a normal person, like it's all carried over onto the picture. So like the picture is getting steadily more ghoulish while he remains the same, and everyone around him is aging while he remains the same. And it's kind of this huge transition to 18 years later when he still looks like a 18-year-old guy, but everyone around him is now aged, and he's surrounded by scandal, and people are all of a sudden crossing the street whenever he's walking down. And
but he keeps bringing new people in because he's just so beautiful that people just, even the people that know how rotten he is, struggle to understand that no, he's really a horrible human being. But because people equate beauty to goodness and ugliness to evil, they have a hard time coming to terms with the fact that no, this is a evil, ugly person that's just got the lucky genes or magic that keeps him young and beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't know. We start seeing that because Basil comes in, visits Dorian, saying that he's about to go travel to Europe to like France or something for 6 months to work on some painting, finish up some work that he's doing, and Dorian gets a sudden idea to bring Basil up and show him the portrait.
Yeah, he wants it because basically Dorian has shed Basil off like a bad habit and doesn't really visit him, and Basil is concerned. He's like, hey, you were one of my best friends. We were practically, lovers, not without saying lovers, but saying, hey, we had this bond, and now you avoid me, and every place I go to, your name is a curse word. Is this true? And Dorian's like, kind of like a serial killer who has gone away with it for so long. They have to say, let me show you how smart I am by showing everybody and giving up the game, giving away the game, and just doing something audacious in public because they feel like, oh, I'm invincible now, that no one's ever going to catch me. Yeah. And it's how they caught who's the clown serial killer there?
John Wayne Gacy?
Yeah, that's basically how they end up catching him. Was he was just like, yeah, I'm not even going to try hiding it because I'm so used to getting away with these crimes.
Yeah. And he brings Basil up to the attic and shows him the picture.
And Basil rightly freaks out, like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and then Dorian stabs him to death.
Yeah, and this is the first time Dorian realizes he's truly crossed the line, because he's finally, with his own hands, done something so terrible that he can't deny that it was his fault. And on the painting, he can see the blood on his portrait's hands.
Yeah, blood forms on his hands. And at the same time, though, he's personalized all that. Like, he hasn't said, like, oh, I've ruined someone's life. He's like, oh, I feel terrible about this. Like,
yeah, it's still all about him.
Yeah, he's like, don't insult me. I already feel so bad about it. Or don't confront me about this. Can't you see I'm hurting?
Yeah, then he brings in somebody that he knows can dispose of the body, so no one will ever know.
Yeah, and it's someone he's already kind of disgraced in life, and he's kind of he asks the person for help, but then the guy refuses, saying, it's like, I want nothing more to do with you, Dorian. And then Dorian's like, all right. And then he blackmails him for something that they did together, and totally...
Which is totally just, again, this is one of the closest times we get to, he's had... a gay relationship with this guy and is now blackmailing him over it.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So it's never explicitly said, because it would have been illegal to do that back then. And honestly, it makes the story a better story, because it just lets your imagination run wild. Like, how bad could it really be?
Yeah, and just like the, I don't know, it's kind of the social commentary is like the lengths people are willing to go to hide that. Like, the dude finally agrees to, like, he almost immediately relents and disposes of a corpse for Dorian to hide, being gay. It's kind of ludicrous, the level that he went to.
But again, back then that was a death sentence, as we saw with Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's not that far off, and of course it's one of those things where Dorian's has done it to everybody of any wealth or power or influence. So it's kind of one of those things. Is like, if everyone just said, yeah, Dorian caught me too, the whole scandal thing would kind of go away, and it's just, okay, let's just get rid of this guy that's trying to ruin everybody. But instead, because they're so busy trying to hide it and so ashamed of the fact that they got had, that they can't think straight.
Exactly. And the guy gets rid of it, and I think it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but the like the way that storyline with that character gets resolved is like, it's just casually mentioned that he commits suicide towards the end of the book.
Yeah, it is.
So like,
hilarious,
he does this,
Alex. I was laughing my ass off.
So it's just like, he does this thing to protect his name. Like, he disposes of Basil's body, and then
but it's that thing that tips him over the edge to say, yeah, no, this is too much for life now.
Yeah, and then he offs himself. But yeah, that helps Dorian. He's got the cover up. Basil was supposed to have gone away for 6 months anyway, so no one's going to question his whereabouts. He thinks he's gotten away with it scot-free.
But he's still, it's like the Dostoevsky book where he gets away with the murder, but it's
Crime and Punishment.
Crime and Punishment, where he's the perfect murderer, not going to get caught, but then it just weighs so heavily on him that he's spiraling out of control.
Yeah, he in order to kind of like soothe his nerves, he goes to an opium den
where we meet some more people that he ruined and used to be lords and ladies and are now.
There's a former highly regarded lord who's now an opium addict. He talks to Dorian while Dorian's there to score some drugs.
And there's also a woman there that he ruined that brought there who's basically, again, implied that she's kind of whoring herself out because she's so addicted to opium that's the only way she can make.
Yeah, it's implied that, she was formerly a respected woman in high society, and she's now a modern equivalent of like a crack whore, you might see.
Yeah, but we rediscovered James.
Yep, James Vane comes back. He hears someone refer to Dorian as Prince Charming, and he attacks Dorian in the street to avenge Sybil. Turns out, though, Dorian, with his quick thinking, says, like, you're saying this happened 18 years ago? Look at me. And then he looks like he's 18. So the guy's like, oh, it couldn't have. James is like, it couldn't have been you. Oh, okay.
Because
my mistake,
no one's
sir.
ever been called Prince Charming before.
Yeah,
outside of this one instance, 18 years before.
Yeah. And then, the lady comes out. She's like, why didn't you kill him when you had the chance? And she's talking about, it's like, yeah, he ruined me years ago and, doesn't even recognize me anymore. And it looks like he hasn't, like, he's almost
hasn't aged a day in 18 years.
Yeah, he's almost 40, but he hasn't aged a day since then. And James realized, like, oh, that was the guy. And so he starts stalking Dorian. And Dorian, of course, is fearing for his life. He's terrified. He sees James everywhere he goes.
Yeah, because even though he externally hasn't taken responsibility, again, it's eating away at him all these years that, he is responsible for this life, even though he can't admit to it. But he goes out to a few parties, and they ends up at a shooting gallery where all the high society's birding, which is basically you got beaters in the woods flushing birds out, and these guys are just blasting away as they have casual conversation and wheel and deal. And Dorian sees a hare, a rabbit, taken off, and says to whoever, I forget who he's talking to, says, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot that," and Dorian says, "Don't shoot." The guy shoots and ends up shooting somebody in the bushes. And it turns out, we find out afterwards that it was James Vane trying to sneak up on Dorian and killing him.
Yeah, the amount of luck Dorian has, and I guess it's not always luck, but yeah, it's astounding. Like, he's being stalked by somebody who means to kill him, and that guy gets killed, or he murders Basil, and then he finds he has the right person who can get rid of the body that he's got dirt on, and can just get away with it. So he's always, no matter what he does, he always gets away with it, and just if it's not by his own cunning, it's by just shit luck, and he had some shit luck here. But it's kind of triggers in him like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be so awful all the goddamn time. Maybe I should do something. Maybe I should try being nice and try doing the right thing.
So he decides he's in a secret relationship with some poor peasant woman who's also very beautiful in the countryside. He says, I'm going to save this woman from me by breaking up with her, and so she never has to get ruined by me.
Yeah, and
so basically doing the exact same thing he did at the beginning of the book when he broke up with Sybil Vane.
Yeah, but he thinks he's doing it for noble purposes this time instead of just dumping her because she's a bad actress. But Henry kind of laughs this off, and he tells him, he's like, no, you're still only doing this for your own selfish purposes. But Dorian's convinced that he has turned a new leaf until he goes back up and looks at his portrait, and he sees it's even more corrupt because now he's trying to do good things for his own sake, which is just as bad as doing bad things.
And basically, he got caught in the deadly sin of pride. And you ever watch Charmed, the original one?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. I watched it with Becky way back when, and there's this one episode where the Charmed sisters all get basically tied into a deadly sin that they most resemble in real life, and they have to break out of that sin. The oldest sister gets pride, and they find out that there's no way to defeat a deadly sin of pride, because no matter what, it will come off as prideful, like becoming the most humble person in the world. That's a prideful comment. You can't just become humble; you have to be the most humble. So again, it's just so, in that vein, Dorian Gray, it says, I'm going to become not only am I going to become a good person, I'm going to become the best person, because I want to be that perfect human being that my face says I am. And it's all for him. It's all for his own prideful purpose of being a beautiful young person.
Yeah, and he just that's reflected in the picture too, just like another little blemish on his features, and he starts kind of spiraling out.
Yeah, and basically he looks like at 40 years old, he looks like what we would picture a 102-year-old looks like. Just this decrepit, evil goblin of a human being.
Yeah, just picture like your second grade teacher. That's what he looks like. Someone who's been teaching for 10 years, they look like that. Just like, ugh. No, I joke, teachers. You work very hard. I'm sorry.
As a former teacher, Alex is very sorry for his.
I'm still in recovery. But he gets this bright idea. He like kind of wonders like, what happens if I destroy the painting? Because it's finally like pushed over the edge. Like, I cannot change this path I'm on. And just in a fit of frustration, he grabs the knife and
the knife that killed Basil.
Yeah, he slashes the painting.
He stabs it.
Yeah, he stabs it right in the heart of his portrait, and it cuts away. Like kind of like you see the knife go up, and then like you get the outside shot of the house, and you hear a scream, and the servants all like, what's going on?
And they can't get in the room, so they had to crawl in from a window from the outside.
Yeah, and they see an old man with a knife in his heart, and the picture is back to what it was originally, and they find out from the rings on the old man's fingers that it's Dorian, and so like they
with a knife in his chest.
With a knife in his chest. So Dorian has essentially killed himself by stabbing the picture,
which is completely different how he dies in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I think that's a movie nobody's watched in at least 20 years. Yeah. How does? Yeah. That's like if he
looks at his painting, it reverses.
That was a weird way to change his character.
Yeah, of course he was a superhero in that one, so you had to make him, semi good, even though it's like everyone's like, you're actually evil. It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I
digress.
That was a terrible movie. I can see why Sean Connery retired after that.
Well, what was the movie he turned down?
They turned down Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
He's going to be Gandalf.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad he wasn't Gandalf.
Yeah.
It would have been a bad Gandalf.
Yeah. I like quoting Gandalf in like his voice, like, a wizard is never early. It's like, never wizard is never late, nor is he early. Right? It's precisely when he means to. And I don't know. That's not a good impression, but you get the idea.
Well, we get it.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. But yeah, so that's basically the book.
Yep. It's a very, very basic story on the surface, but yeah, there's I don't know, you could do deep dives into this thing forever and ever.
Your whole career could be based off this one book. And
there's like societal implications, LGBT views, historical background. Like, there's so much that this thing covers. It's for 240-page book. It's one of the smartest books you'll ever read in your life.
Yeah, this is why Alex likes short books, because they tend to not drag. Exactly. Even though that long chapter where we're going over 18 years of life did drag.
It does, yeah, a little bit. It gets old. It's like he likes this, and then it's like listen to your kid tell a story about their day.
Yeah, it was very telly, not showy. But of course, you're trying to scream through 18 years of history here, because there's nothing really juicy in it other than him being a pompous asshole.
Yeah, I will take one like summarizing chapter like that. Like if that was like, you mentioned Dostoevsky earlier, that would have been like 500 pages of just like him being like 100 pages just of like, I like jewelry now, and he's adorning himself with jewelry
and going into excruciating detail about each piece.
And he's like buying the finest ruby in town, and there's like a whole thing about that, and it's like, It's like, yeah, it's just a 20-page chapter where he's going through and trying new things. That's fine. And then it's right back into the action.
Yeah.
A little montage.
So your final thoughts, Alex?
Still my favorite book. 5 stars. Oscar Wilde is immortal in his writing.
Yeah, I thought it was a good story. It's definitely written beautifully. You know, if it is a little dated, I mean, it was written, what was that, 200 years ago now?
It was 1890, so 135.
Yeah, almost 150 years ago. So I guess it has the right to be dated.
Yeah.
But I think it's like we keep saying, it holds up well to today. You can still, it's very readable. It's not like trying to read Shakespeare where you're really struggling through the language.
Yeah, and he's talking about things that have just kind of rung true throughout all of humanity. Just and that just parody style just as kind of timeless.
Yeah.
Like, and people talk about even Jonathan Swift, who was 100 years before Oscar Wilde, and like that was still like Gulliver's Travels is still considered this comedic classic, and it's just it's a style of writing that never gets old. Just that parody and farce, and just making a mockery of things that people hold valuable that really aren't that valuable. And
yeah, it's definitely a book you have to take your time with too, though. If you just try to read through this like it's a Poppy War or Some Desperate Glory, you're gonna miss pretty much everything, and you're not gonna understand what's going on, because you really gotta take your time, get the jokes that Lord Henry's saying, get the thoughts of Dorian Gray, get the whining of Basil, to really get the full effect of this.
Yeah, and just as the preface states, like, did Oscar Wilde write this with the intention of making a mockery of everything around him? Or was he going for an entertaining story? Because I feel like he was going for an entertaining story, but like his version of an entertaining story is to make fun of everything around him. And I think the views that society put on that book, and like the in-depth reading that the critic puts into it, as he also states in the preface, is like a symbolism of great art, is because people see different things into it. Some people were outraged by it. Some people look up to it. It's my favorite book. Joe tolerates it. Some people probably really fucking hated it. So it's hard to say.
I wouldn't say I tolerate it. I like it. It's not going to make my top 5 stories by any stretch. But I recognize the brilliance of it for sure. And I can appreciate that brilliance and enjoy it. I just, I like Terry Pratchett.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another guy with a lot of parody. Because Discworld is essentially just a
parody of
Great
the
Britain.
Round World.
Yeah, yeah, the Round World. Yes.
Which is what he calls Earth, because there are dimension shifts at times. So yeah.
Yeah.
I got some questions for you, Alex.
Go for it.
Is Dorian evil, or is it the morality of the Victorian era that paint him as evil because of his sexuality?
No, he's evil. Yeah, no, he's an evil character. Yeah, there's definitely societal commentary, and like maybe he's a product of that society, but he himself as a character is an evil character.
So I want to say, I don't know if evil is the right word necessarily, because again, it's narcissism and hedonism that he's really pursuing. And I guess the bigger question is pursuing those things for themselves evil, or is he only evil because of the people he ruined in the process of those sensations?
Yeah, we all pursue pleasure. Like that's one thing. But yeah, he did it at the cost of others. I think he was easily corruptible. I think Lord Harry kind of devoted his life to chasing those pleasures without really a care for other people, and Dorian just took it to a whole nother extreme with what he did throughout the 18 years he was under the spell. But yeah, I think it's just he saw no physical consequence or emotional consequence, so he carried on with it, and just he was very narcissistic behavior, and he cut down a lot of people in the process of experiencing sensory pleasures.
Yeah, so kind of going on to Lord Henry, what effect does Lord Henry have on Dorian's character, and what is it that Dorian fears?
Yeah, it was like Harry definitely quickly corrupted Dorian. I think comparing him.
Do you think it was
you compared him to
off-page sexual stuff, or do you think it was just that whole philosophy that he got Dorian thinking?
he like you compared him to like Satan, and it's very much like it was like the beginning where he's getting painted in the garden. It's very much like a Adam and Eve kind of situation, Garden of Eden deal, where he's this young innocent thing, and then this snake in the grass comes and corrupts him, and it kind of sets him down that path. Obviously, Dorian chose to continue down that path even further. So obviously, like Harry isn't 100% responsible for what Dorian does, but at the same time, he does play a huge role in shaping an impressionable young man, and it's almost immediate because
Harry is 10 years older than Dorian.
Because we see Dorian before Harry really starts talking, and he's young, he's naive, he's bright-eyed, he's bushy-tailed, and then he has like even one conversation with Harry, and then all of a sudden he's melting down over his picture and the youth he hasn't even lost yet, and he's lamenting that he's gonna grow old and the painting's not. So he's already starting to get that kind of, I guess, corruption going, where he values beauty more than life, and you just kind of see that almost immediately. And then it gets into the homosexual undertones and whatnot with Harry.
Yeah, because he's just kind of going out into the garden and lying in the grass.
Yeah,
which is, it's like, that's a weird thing to say. And maybe I don't know the wealthy people of the Victorian era very well, if that was a common thing for the dandies at the time, but it's like, I don't know. That seems like it's something else going on here. Is Lord Henry's belief in freedom of the individual evil? Why or why not?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's in moderation, it's fine. Yeah, the freedom of the individual is incredibly important.
It is kind of
but it shouldn't come at the cost of others.
Thing of the United States being individualism, and much of Europe or Asia being communal in thought and process. And at what point is the line crossed for individualism versus communal beliefs?
Yeah, you kind of have to, I don't know, it's more of like a societal pressure, I guess. You have to kind of fit in with the public zeitgeist of the thinking at the time, and I think they were, like Henry and Dorian were going against that, and cuts down a lot of lies, but at the same time, like, I think the ideal is romantic, at least. It's, something to, like, we get to be free and we get to do what we want. That's something everybody wants. At the same time, like, when you're doing what you want, are you preventing someone else from doing what they want? And it's kind of this mutual give and take that society agrees upon, and Henry's philosophy largely ignores that.
What does the ending mean?
I think it's just I don't even know if it's like a long way to comeuppance. It's just an abrupt ending, because I think it's just that the painting was absorbing all the physical attributes and a lot of his, but I think eventually his emotions and the realization of all the things he's done finally caught up to him, and it's just that final, like, desperate, like, even though he's done nothing but pursue his own pleasure and his own personal freedoms, he's still a victim to this portrait and the things that he's done, and he still has to face it and answer to it. And I think that's because, like, that's him kind of finally owning the things he's done by stabbing the painting in the heart.
So what was that book or story where the man makes a deal with the devil, and then to become the wealthy whatever and can do anything they want, and then as they're about to die and the devil comes to collect, they find God and beg for forgiveness and they get saved? What was that?
Oh, God.
I remember it was a Wishbone episode.
Yeah. Is that Lazarus? No, that's like a Bible story, isn't it? Like Lazarus or something like that?
It's not a Bible story. It was a Victorian age. I thought it was a Victorian age story.
Because it was almost like Dr. Faustus, But that was Marlowe. That's like Shakespeare time.
Okay. Maybe it was that. I mean, that sounds familiar.
Because he doesn't beg to God for forgiveness. He, like, the devil comes to collect his due, and he like wishes for one more thing, and rather than like beg for forgiveness, he wishes to kiss Helen of Troy, and then he gets sent to hell. But yeah, I don't know what story that is. If you're listening, sound off in the comments. What story is Joe talking about?
Yeah, so because I know I said the devil will collect in the end no matter what, and this is kind of that thing where his actions, like you said, are so heavy on him just because they're being taken away from his physical body. The mental weight is still there, and it eventually breaks him, and
he can't explain it away anymore. He's got an answer for it.
Yeah, and because even though there is religion mentioned in this, it's kind of mocked, and so he doesn't have that. I said that's why I brought my mind to that story. I remember more from Wishbone than the actual story, but it was a not having that ability to go to a higher power and say I fucked up. What can I do to change this around and find forgiveness? It's just like, nope, it's all on you now. The book was used against Wilde in court for illegal homosexual relationships with Lord Alfred Douglas. Why was it used as evidence, and did they interpret it correctly?
Well, I think we were just talking about like several heavily implied sexual encounters that Dorian has with men.
But again, it's never explicitly said. So Wilde's kind of hedging his bet, saying, with his whole, it's whatever immorality is coming from it is coming from you. So he could say, oh, maybe you're the one having the homosexual thoughts here because you're the one that took that out of this. Where I just said, yeah, they were laying in the grass together.
Yeah, I mean, he can always use that as a defense, but like obviously it didn't hold up in a court of law. It didn't work out in his favor. Yeah, I mean, there's like several scenes like where Dorian and Henry ride in the carriage together. Was Basil taking a separate carriage? Like it's implied that they have sex in the carriage. The person that he blackmails after killing Basil, the person he meets in the opium den, it's all heavily implied. The homosexual undertones and not even really undertones. Like it's implied that these guys had sex, and so there's a lot of gay themes in the book. It's even nowadays it's considered a classic of gay literature. So it's definitely scenes where it reflected poorly in a court of law for Oscar Wilde.
And a little bit of a bonus question here for you, Alex. Did Wilde have more stories in him, and do you think they could have had as big of an impact as this story or his plays? Or do you think that because of his fame being cut so short the way it was, helped this legacy of his grow to immortal status?
I mean, what happened to him definitely has helped keep him immortal because, he paid a huge price for his art. He was famous. Like I said, he had about 3 years of notoriety before he wound up in court and going to jail for 2 years. So he, it plays heavily, whether it's the importance of being earnest, which is like his big opus, the thing that everybody knows, or this book, which is probably his second most famous work behind that.
And they're both so famous that it's very hard to say, someone to say, I'd never heard of that one. Yeah.
And like he had like 3 other plays and a handful, he had some children's stories and some travel logs and things like that. So he's really got 2 works that are just public knowledge, like incredibly well known. And I think it's very possible he could have had more. He could have had a very full and long and fulfilling career. I think that these 2 works are going to be enduring forever, whether it's because it's hard to say what makes an enduring classic, but I think what happened to him in his life played no small role in the fact that he's still widely read today.
Yeah. So
because I mean, even I don't know, looking at Herman Melville, like the guy worked at a fucking dock for the rest of his life after writing Moby Dick, and then it was just happened to be rediscovered later on, years after his death.
So there's a funny meme going around right now saying, yeah, for someone to be an author these days, they had to do, write the book, but then they had to do all the other stuff like their own editing, publishing, marketing, all that stuff. And it says all Hemingway had to do was be an alcoholic.
Yeah, pretty much. Different times.
Yeah. So, but
nowadays, as an artist, you got to be sober because they're paying for you to put on a good show or whatever. And so,
yeah. But again, that whole thing of Wilde had that controversy that definitely propelled him up there, but he didn't. It's not like the book set. When he went into exile, the book or the play set him up where he could live comfortably. He was, when he went to, I believe, went to France, he was slumming it pretty hard because he didn't have a penny to his name.
Yeah, he was relying heavily on friends and favors at that point.
Yeah.
His last words, though, they might not have been his last words, but their last words attributed to him. He was complaining about the wallpaper in his room, and he was dying at the point. And he said, "Either the wallpaper goes or I do," and then he died. And then apparently they did change the wallpaper after he died. Yeah.
Well, when Oscar Wilde says something, you pay attention.
Yeah.
Last question I got here for you, Alex, and we're gonna go back to the preface. In the preface, Wilde writes that there is no such thing as a moral or immoral book, which we've gone over this quite a bit now. But do you agree with that statement? Why or why not?
I think on the grand scheme of things, I agree, but also from just like a humanity standpoint of, we were raised in a certain way, and I think what he's trying to say is that morality is different for every individual, but I feel like no matter where you're from, there's certain things that everyone can agree on, and so I think there's a little bit of both. I think, there are morality, like, you have your 10 Commandments, and I think even with even if you're not religious, you can agree not to kill people or steal from people. But I think I think that's what he's trying to say is that there's really anything beyond that. Yeah, you can imply different moralities onto this book and not be fazed by it. Like, we can read this book and not be fazed by some of the things that were incredibly scandalous back in Victorian England. And so it's like morality is in the heart of the reader, not in the heart of the writer. So the book they're writing is not moral or immoral. It's just a book that's intended to be entertaining.
I guess you could counter that with an argument like Mein Kampf or Anarchist Cookbook, where those, or Catcher in the Rye, where people have taken that and said, nope, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do some horrible things. And, maybe not Catcher in the Rye so much, because that is just some crazy people taking something way too far, that they pulled out of it. That I don't know how they got that out of that book, but
yeah, I think if you're, with the Mein Kampf thing, if you got to jump all the way to Hitler to get to the morality thing, then I think I think there's probably some give and take at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like obviously Mein Kampf is the awful expression of humanity, but but I don't think Oscar Wilde was going that far. Remember, he was before Hitler came around.
Yeah, but I guess who knows what they had for writing that, and it just didn't survive. But I'm sure there was stuff that was saying kill. Especially like the Jews are evil.
Yeah, Victorian England had no shortage of anti-Semitism.
And there was a lot of just very, even for that times, racist writing, where, here, we read it now and we're like, holy shit. But even back then, even a lot of the, people that would be considered racist were like, yeah, this guy's going a little far, a little crazy here. We need to tone it down a little bit. So I said, so that there is that kind of stuff out there back then. So I guess there are stuff that maybe is immoral because of the message the author's trying to send, where like this book is the message isn't being gay is right or wrong, is it is what it is, and the people are doing horrible things, but it's almost like a warning of, hey, this is what happens when you take this thing too far. So don't take it too far. And then Oscar Wilde then took it too far.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just parody. It goes too far to prove a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Alex. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I highly recommend this one, even if you're not a big fan of Victorian literature. This is a shining example. It's one that's easily accessible, and it's my favorite book, so you should give it a try.
So don't make Alex cry by not reading his favorite book, people.
Yeah.
He at least picked one that's short enough that you don't have to spend months reading.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not as wordy as Dickens, and he's not as boring as some of them Russian writers that you might read, your Dostoevskys and your Tolstoys. So he's it's short, it's sweet, and it packs a wallop. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to talk about. We barely scratched the surface. We've been talking about it for what, like a little over an hour.
Yeah, a little bit over an hour.
And there's like there's deep dives. You can read books about this book and this author, and still find new things about it. It's one of the best books ever written, and it's my favorite book.
Okay, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So next month is my pick.
Yeah, your final pick of the season.
My final pick. So I'm picking another walloper here, like last season with
another sci-fi epic.
Yeah. I think people are going to start noticing a pattern here pretty quick, Alex.
I hope you save that like 800-page one that you chose for next season to the last one. My God.
I haven't decided which one's going to be like. I got a couple that I might save, but to the last one. But yeah, so the book I'm picking for my last pick this season is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is a sci-fi epic of epic proportions, and it's a little bit tougher read, so it's going to be a crunch to get this done in time, because unlike Dorian Gray, it is long, and it is also very complicated with the whole story system, because it is based off of two classic pieces of literature.
Yeah, and one of them is, be warned, all those people that failed honors English, one of them is the Canterbury Tales.
Yes, and the other one is a Keats poem.
Yeah, Dan Simmons. If you know anything about Keats, then you'll get like everything Dan Simmons ever wrote, because that guy had a weird obsession with Shakespeare and Keats.
Yeah. And apparently Canterbury Tales.
Yeah. And that's just a classic storytelling style.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, that is the book we're going to read for next month. So please join in, and this is one of those sci-fi books that is considered typically top 3 all-time sci-fi books of all time.
Yeah, I think it was a Hugo nominee at least.
It was a Hugo winner.
It won. Okay.
It did. I forget.
I think
what
all
year.
4 books in the series were at least nominated for a Hugo.
Yeah, I think so. So I was looking through the Hugos recently, because I was like, I saw that this had won, so I was like, wonder if any of the Ian M. Banks books won, because again, I think the Culture series is probably one of the best series for sci-fi ever, and the biggest ones are the books 2 and 3. Yeah, most of them did not get nominated, and he didn't win ever. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like the years that the early years where he wrote those first few of them, it wasn't like the competition was that crazy that he shouldn't have been nominated. So I was just kind of surprised. It's like, because again, when people think best science fiction, typically Dune is up there as number 1. Occasionally they'll put like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein up there because it is kind of the first science fiction book that kind of got that label. Even though it's more also, the horror genre obviously has taken it as their one of their premier books.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi horror.
Yeah. And but yeah, people start, and then you start diverging from there with a lot of other stuff. But yeah, Hyperion is kind of that, like we were talking about author's author, where all the authors and the uber book nerds know about. But the general public typically doesn't notice it or don't know about it, and it's just says it. I don't know if I'd put it in the my top 3 or 5 for best sci-fi ever, but it's definitely top tier sci-fi.
Yeah. I will do a hot take on Dan Simmons as a writer, though. I'd say the Hyperion series, the Hyperion Cantos, as they're called, are the only truly great thing he's ever written.
Great, maybe, but
He's
I
written
think
some good books.
yeah,
but
I was gonna say I've enjoyed some of his other books, one of which we will probably cover in another season.
Oh God! All right. Yeah, he's
But I've also read some of his books that are just plain bad.
He can be incredibly hit or miss. Sometimes in the same book.
Yeah. But yeah, so definitely check that out. So we will be back next month. Until then, if you want to email us, you can. KendallBookworms@gmail.com or on Instagram @KendallBookworms. You can DM us there. We are on YouTube if you want to listen to us there. Comment, like, subscribe, Spotify, Apple. Leave comments. We do, as we said earlier, we do read them. Eventually, sometimes I'm a little slow to looking at that stuff, but if you make a comment, maybe we'll mention you on a future show. We have... What else do we got? I have a Medium where I write book reviews of books that we are not covering on this. As we've said in previous episodes, though, if any of these book reviews get over 100 reads, Alex will have to read that book and we will discuss it.
Yeah, so find the shortest books and read them.
Alex does have some books for sale. Alex?
Yeah, we got Paul Plimpton vs. Ragnarok and The Destroyer.
We'll have a link for those on below for Amazon. See, what else do we got going for us? Anything, Alex? See, I've touched the Instagram.
I think we've got it.
Yeah. Like, subscribe. We're on all the major podcast apps, so there's no excuse not to listen to us. Alex, get us out of here.
All right, well, that was the Picture of Dorian Gray. Tune in next time for Hyperion. I'm Alex.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been Bookworms.
Out.